Hey there guys, and welcome to Tech Engineered. Today we're going to be talking about the lenses that I use for shooting videos, taking photos, and just using my camera in general. So let's get started. So first off, let's talk about what I use my camera for. Of course, I use it for making YouTube videos like this, like I'm recording on right now, and I also use it for taking pictures of things, mainly like nature photography, and I have done some photography like at horse races and stuff like that. So we'll throw in some stuff whenever I talk about the lenses, pictures, and videos and stuff that I have taken with these different lenses so you can see what everything looks like. Now, we will not be comparing these lenses head to head, like the same picture taken on all the different lenses, because my lenses are very diverse and are made for very different things. So we're going to be just showing you examples of what stuff looks like and not really comparing them because they are made for different purposes and there isn't one that's better than the other. So let's start off by talking about the EFS 18 to 55mm lens, which is the kit lens that came with my camera. And with the Canon T5i, which I guess I should have mentioned is the camera that I have, that is one of the kit lenses that you can get with it. There are a couple different kits you can buy, and that's the most popular lens that comes with it because it is a very diverse lens. It's an 18 to 55mm, so you can have kind of a wide angle 18mm look, or you can go ahead and zoom in a little bit to a 55mm focal length, and it is also a f3.5 to 5.6. So the aperture is kind of standard, I would say. It's not super open like some lenses, and it's not closed like a kind of really zoomed telephoto lens, but it is just kind of a standard aperture. Now, this lens, the purpose that I use it for is kind of my everyday lens. I'll take it with me just on the camera whenever I don't know what I'm going to be doing, because I can zoom it in a little bit or I can zoom it out all the way, and it kind of is just diverse there. And it also has an image stabilizer. So if I am shooting video handheld, I'll use the camera strap as kind of just my gimbal, I guess, and holding that tight to reduce shake, and then also turn on the image stabilizer that's on this lens. This is the only lens that I own with image stabilizer, so that's what I use it for mainly, is handheld video, and or just being my all-purpose lens whenever I'm just kind of walking around taking pictures and I don't really know if I'm going to have a specific situation in which I'm going to use the lens. So yeah, this is my good all-around kit lens. It's the one that came with the camera, so it's actually my cheapest lens and lowest quality lens, I would say, build quality wise, but it does look pretty good and it is pretty nice. I also bought a lens hood for this lens because I find that I use this lens outside a lot more than I use the other two lenses, and I haven't gotten into any issues with lens flare and stuff with my longest lens, so I haven't bought a lens hood for that one, even though I do use that one outside quite often. But this one I did buy a lens hood for so that I can use it outside and get a lot crisper of an image and reduce those lens flares. So that brings us to the next lens, my EF 75 to 300mm zoom telephoto lens. Now, this lens I use for taking pictures of things that are kind of far away. I use this a lot at the horse races, so I'm going to put in some pictures of that right here so you can see those while I continue talking. And this lens is a f4 to 5.6 lens, so it goes up to the same aperture as the previous lens, but it is a lot longer of a lens. You can see that it does extend out pretty far. So this lens really helps me get pictures that are at a distance, and I like that it isn't a crazy f-stop, so I can let in quite a bit of light and not really have to turn up the ISO as much, because also whenever I'm handheld shooting with a long lens like this, I have to turn up the shutter speed, otherwise I'll get blurring from just the small movements of me holding it, because it's really hard to hold a lens that's zoomed in really far really steady, because you've got a tiny little dot that's where you're actually taking the picture out there, and it's just moving around a ton whenever you move the camera around. So having that really fast shutter speed with this lens really helps you get a nice clear picture. Overall, this lens is very good and I would recommend it. I've actually bought it refurbished on Amazon, but it's around $80 refurbished, or $100 some brand new. I'd recommend it if you're just getting into photography and you need something to give you a little bit extra length. This will get you some pictures of some things at a distance. It's a great lens for nature photography, taking pictures outside of animals and stuff like that, because you can keep your distance and not really harass them while you're taking pictures of them. I do not use this lens, however, for video because it doesn't have image stabilizer, and I don't really need a 300mm lens or even a 75mm lens at that for video or anywhere in between that. It's just too zoomed in, and really the only uses for it are nature photography and sports photography and stuff like that, but at like 80 bucks, it was well worth it to purchase to take some pictures and stuff like that. So then let's move on to my most used lens, and that is the Canon EFS 24mm with a 2.8 ISO, and it does have the STM motor in it. The only lens I have that isn't STM is this lens right here, the long lens, but I'm actually recording right now on the 24, so I can't show you. I'll have to just show you through B-roll, but the lens is a pancake lens, so it's very thin, and it lets in a lot of light because of that very open aperture. Now it's 24mm, which is kind of a nice middle ground distance, I find, and it really works well for portrait shots, talking head, stuff like this, and also macro photography is pretty fun, getting up close to flowers and stuff and taking pictures of them with the 24mm lens. However, if that is primarily what you do, I would recommend getting a nifty 50 from Canon, the FS 50mm with a like 1.8 f-stop. That is much better for macro photography. But this lens can do it, but really what I like using it for is like right now, just talking into the camera and stuff like that. I will also use it for B-roll in videos because it is a very good lens that lets in a lot of light and kind of gets you really good depth of field with that open aperture. So that looks really good in B-roll shots and also shots like this. You can see the background behind me is just kind of slightly blurred out right now, but it looks really good. And this is kind of my favorite lens, honestly. It's not as versatile as the 18 to 55, but if you can like set up your shots well, this lens with the open aperture, the STM motor in it, really helps to increase the quality of your footage. The quality from this lens to my old lens is like night and day. My old videos that I shot on the old lens just don't look the same as this one. This one looks brighter, more lively, and also just having like an actual like studio light on my camera really helps with that too. But still, this lens really helped me like bring my production quality up, and it also has allowed me to take some photography that I wouldn't be able to do in lower light situations, since that open aperture really helps with that. And it also helps me keep my ISO down so I can keep kind of the blurriness out of the image, because I do not have a cinema camera that can take some pretty high ISO stuff without getting a lot of blur in it. I have a DSLR, so if I increase the ISO, it's going to really increase that blur that you get from just like over ISOing the image. So yeah, this lens is by far my favorite lens, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this lens increase like the production quality of this channel and stuff like that. I think it's like the tool that has improved this channel the most and improved like all of my video and photography a lot. I wish it had image stabilization, but I mean, it's such a short lens that that's not a huge deal. So long as you use a camera strap when you're hand holding it, you'll be fine with this lens without image stabilization. Image stabilization would be a plus on it though, and you can buy 24s that have image stabilization, but they're really expensive, and this lens is fairly cheap, and you get a really good result from it, like right now. It is well worth the money to get the EFS 24, and it is by far my favorite lens. Now, again, I want to reiterate that the stuff that you would use the 24 for in photography, the nifty 50 is better. So I would go and get the 50 if you're into photography, but if you're into videography or a blend of videography and photography and you need to choose between the two, I would go with the 24mm lens. Yeah, it is great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's going to be a little bit shorter than some of the videos we've had. I know I've kind of gotten pretty long on like the build log, and also just some other videos have gotten kind of long. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a shorter video. And if you did enjoy it, go ahead and leave a like on it. If you like the content on this channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you have advice for future content that I can make, leave that in the comment section below. And I will see you guys in the next video.